All right, Books with Corey. We're going to be reading the book by J Preston Eby, Echoes from Eden, Book 1. We're on page 30. Turn to page 30. I'll lead. You can write to the address I'll have on the description below to get these beautiful books. There's Book 1 and Book 2, Echoes from Eden. Well worth getting. These are really beautifully made by J Preston Eby, and just a joy to read, just great reading. Inspiring, inspirational. I guess it's the same kind of word, isn't it? Inspiring, inspirational. A couple of just warnings. Some of this terminology may seem a bit religious and might cause some triggers if you have a religious background. Try not to be fooled by the semantics, and try to hear what the Spirit is saying. And in this, and also there are also those that feel they are doctrinally experts and they interpret these things by their doctrines. They evaluate these things by their doctrines. Just let the Spirit evaluate these things. So if the Spirit reveals something to you, be teachable, be expandable, be movable, and be open to revelation. Okay. So, Echoes from Eden, Book 1, probably the best writing there is about Genesis, primarily focused on Eden, primarily focused on the first part of Genesis, but just absolutely fantastic. All right, so as the natural man must have sustenance from his environment, so the spiritual man must come to know how to live by his environment. After he has got life, you must give him food. Now, what food shall you give him? Shall you feed him with knowledge, or with beauty, or with prosperity, or with blessings, or with religious exercises, or commandments, or with gifts, or with power, or with doctrines, or with experiences? No. There is a rarer nutriment than all these, so rare, in fact, that few have ever more than tasted it, so rich that they who have will never live on other fare again. It is this: my meat is to do the will of him that sent me. John 4:34. To do God's will. That is what a son lives for, but it is also what he lives on. Meat. Meat is strength, support, nourishment. The strength of the life of sonship is drawn from the Father's will. Man has a strong will. But the Father's will is everlasting strength, almighty strength, such strength. He who lives by the will of the Father receives. He grows by it. He assimilates it. It is his life. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that cometh out of God. Matthew 4:4. Nothing can satisfy the Son's appetite but this: he hungers to do God's will. Nothing else will fill him. Everyone knows the world is hungry, but the hungry world is starving. It has many meats and many drinks, but there is no nourishment in them. It has pleasures and gaiety and excitement, but there is no food. There are the immortal craving of the spirit. It is a theater and worldly society and worldly books and worldly knowledge and worldly lusts, but these things merely intoxicate flesh and soul. The church world is hungry too, starving in fact. Oh, it has many meats and many drinks, but there's no nourishment for the spirit in them. It has rituals and stirring programs and impressive ceremonies and external ordinances and pomp and show and candles and incense and temples and cathedrals and priests and preachers and organization and abundance of activity. Its people get all involved in the work, and they're committed to the work and giving to the work. They do, but in all this, something other than Christ has become the central factor. The center becomes the movement, or the message, or the organization, or the ministry, or the experience, or the method, or the personality, or some other thing. But I declare to you that all these religious things and activities merely intoxicate, and millions of Christians, let me adjust my seat here, millions of Christians are drunk with them and in their distorted hilarity think they know the living Christ. There is no substance in them. So our spirit turns its eye from them with all the unutterable loathing. My meat is to do the Father's will, to do the Father's will. No possibility of starving or suffering malnutrition on this fare. His will is eternal. It is the eternal food the sons of God live upon. In springtime it is not sown, and in summer drought it cannot fail. In harvest it is not reaped, yet the storehouse is ever full. Oh, what possibilities of life it opens up. The truth of these words is simply this: the strength of life for a son of God is to do God's will. Now that is great and surprising revelation to many. No man ever found that out. It has been before the world these 2,000 years, yet few have even found it out today. One will tell you that life is in keeping the commandments, another that life is in attending meetings, another that life is in taking communion, another that life is in winning souls, another that life is in water baptism, another that life is in speaking in tongues. Oh, one will tell you it is good, another will tell you that it is to get good, another that it is to be good. But the life is none of these things. It is more than all. Life is not to have an experience or to do this or that or the other. Just to do what God wills, whether that be working or waiting or winning or losing or suffering or recovering or living or dying. We feel helpless beside a truth so great and eternal. God must teach us these things. Like little children, we must sit at his feet and learn from the Father. If Adam would have realized even this, he would have never have touched death. There at the very outside is the key to life. Any one of us can tell in a moment whether we are living by his environment of the Father's will or doing the Father's will. We do not mean, are we doing the Father's work, preaching or teaching or prophesying or collecting money or winning souls or healing the sick, but the Father's will. A man may think he's doing the Father's work when he's not even doing the Father's will. And a man may be doing God's work and God's will as much as by hewing stones or sweeping streets or preaching or prophesying. So the question just means this: are we working out our common everyday life on the great lines of God's will? Is no thing the center of our lives? Nothing but Christ. This is the tree of life in the middle of our garden. Christ, our sphere of life in this living union with Christ, is brought to naught every work, every religious activity, every tradition and commandment of men. Not that only that which springs from the spirit of love shall be wrought out, be it much for nothing. There is another tree in the middle of our garden, the tree of death, another potential center other than Christ. This is where the second kind of environment enters in. Let it be perfectly clear to all who read these lines that the tree of death in Eden is nothing more nor less than the whole bestial system of this physical temporal world, the entire fleshly realm of soul and body with its roots in the carnal mind. The word carnal is the Greek adjective sarx, meaning fleshly. Therefore, when the Bible speaks of the carnal mind, it simply means the fleshly mind or the mind of the body realm and the vanity of the world which it touches. The carnal mind is never concerned with the things of God or the things of the Spirit. The carnal mind is always concerned with the things of the flesh and the world. It is always working to satisfy the physical flesh man or the ego of the soul. It is ever planning some unspiritual thing that it can lavish on the self. It is significant then that Paul begins his list of the works of the flesh with the words adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred. For these, being the cravings of the physical body and the ego of the self, the carnal or fleshly mind seeks to satisfy its every desire and fancy. Turning the page. Also listed are rivalry, factions, heresies. Sometimes I just decide, for an aside, sometimes I call myself, I say I'm a heretic. Just to let people know that I'm not trying to interpret the revelation by the doctrines of men, but really heresies in their actual meaning is a system of belief that surrounds the fulfillment of the body and of the soul. And churchianity can be very soulish. and very body focused. Much more than people would like to think or believe. All right, so here, 32. Churches competing. Here, much of this we see in the so-called church world. Churches competing against one another. Who can have the most in Sunday school? Who can build the most impressive building? Who can win the most souls? What evangelist can draw the biggest crowds? Each one pointing to the success or importance of their ministry. Glorying in the size of the outreach or work. Stressing how much more could be accomplished with more money. Advertising personalities with popular fleshly appeal, a spirit-filled millionaire, a spirit-filled entertainer, spirit-filled senator, converted member of the mafia, a Catholic priest, or perhaps a prophet or a miracle worker. Brethren must watch now, they advertise and announce their meetings and ministries, lest the promotion of the ministry become a promotion of self rather than Christ. Selfishness is the nature of self, and there can be a selfish and hence a sinful ambition to attain even great spirituality. Are we furthering our ministry or simply doing the will of the Father? I can assure you that doing the will of the Father will many times not promote our ministry. How self desires to build an image, even in the arena of the things of God. All right, well, due to time, we're going to have to continue this later. This is Echoes from Eden, Book 1 by J Preston Eby. I'll get these books. You can write to the address on the description below and ask for them. Well, bye.